Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Now, as you can probably guess by my t-shirt, I'm going to be looking at a Jam album today. I'm going to be reviewing Setting Suns. So yeah, this was the Jam's 4th studio album, released on the 16th of November in 1979. The album has quite an interesting backstory. Originally, it was conceived as a concept album, and sort of like the vague outline of it was like you had like 3 friends who were sent to war and that to fight, and then when they reunited some years after, they discovered that they'd grown apart and they weren't friends anymore. They weren't interested in the same sort of things. However, Weller lost interest in this idea and only coming up with I think 4 or 5 songs that made it onto this album. Although it could also be looked at they were under pressure to maybe come out with another album, it being I think about a year since the last one, All Mod Cons. So maybe the record company and that were pushing them for another album, and he maybe simply couldn't finish his concept. Despite that though, the album is often held in high regard by critics, and was a commercial hit for the band, reaching number 4 in the UK charts. So yeah, I'm just going to show you the vinyl here. This is from the Jam box set. I used to have a original copy. It was slightly different, sort of the text was embossed on that one, and then also the side bit here was all embossed, and I think the song titles were a little bit bigger as well. But anyway, yeah, I do like the cover actually. Well, I mean, it isn't one of the Jam's best covers, but I think it probably fits more with the original idea. There's actually a statue of 2 guys sort of carrying a wounded soldier away, so it does fit with the original idea for the album. So I think that was always going to be the cover. Inside here, yeah, more sort of war themed images there, and then the back here we have the lyrics, or at least some of them. I mean, some of them do seem to be a bit cut off. I mean, we get Girl on the Phone there, but it's only a wee tiny. It's the first 2 lines or something. It's a little bit confusing that, but hey, I do sort of the bulldog and everything in there. And then the record is on these nice sort of custom labels. So that's side 2, I think they're really nice, and then side 1 looks like that there. So yeah, nice replica of the original labels. So now I'm going to go over all of the album songs. There's actually only 10 songs on this album. It's quite a short one. So yeah, I'll just look at each song individually and give a score for it out of 10, and then add them all up, and then those will be a percentage score for the album. So it opens up with a song called Girl on the Phone, which I am giving a 9 out of 10 to. I think this is a really good opener. Starts off with this phone sound, which I think Weller stole from the Kinks album Face to Face. Starts off again with a phone on it. Works well though, I think. And the song is actually pretty good, an underrated Jam song, I'd say. And lyrics on this one are probably the most interesting bit about the song. It's sort of about a female stalker, either imaginary or in real life. You probably he did have a lot of female fans in there at this time here. So he rattles off all the stuff that she knows about him, and she knows everything about him and that, and the chorus is about her wanting to meet Weller and that, and she keeps ringing him and that. So yeah, it is a fun song, fun lyrics, and yeah, it is a really good song, and it is a Jam song, what you don't often hear that much about. Next one is called Thick as Thieves, which is probably my favourite song on the album. It is just such a great track. Sort of about friendship and sort of sticking together through tough times and that. Definitely this one came from the original idea. One of my absolute favourite Jam songs from their whole career. Just love it. It's a very punchy song, very powerful performance, and great sound on this one as well. So yeah, Thick as Thieves, a 10 out of 10. Third track in is called Private Hell, which I'm giving a 7 out of 10 to, and I can't lie, this isn't one of my favourite Jam songs. it seems a little bit forced, and like this is one that was actually written like rush written when like he realised like he didn't have like enough material for the album. So I think this one was just like done in like the studio as like a last minute job. And yeah, I don't want to say that like you can kind of tell, but it is a little bit generic, shall I say, for the Jam. I mean, like it does start pretty well, good like guitar sound, good sort of like opening to the song, but then it really kind of like it doesn't really go like anywhere for me. So yeah, but it is still enjoyable though, and like it does like when like you're in like the mood for like the Jam, like this is like a good song to sort of like sum up their sound like in many ways. So yeah, a 7 out of 10 for me. And then we get the song Little Boy Soldiers, which I am also giving a 10 out of 10 to actually. I really love this song, very interesting Jam song as well. This was originally supposed to be, I think, like different sections, like different like musical and like phrases and that will be used like throughout like his like original concept album, like different like musical motives and that like stuff we get on like the Who's Tommy and that. But like in like the end, like when like that idea like for like the whole big concept album fell by like the wayside, like instead like they just decided to stitch all like the wee bits together to make this sort of like this mini opera thing, and like it really works actually. It goes through a lot of different stages, and like yeah, like it is a great song. The only thing I would say about this one though is like I wish it was maybe like recorded slightly better, because there's like a nice wee quiet bit in this song where like you just get like this guitar and like it kind of sounds still like buried like in like the mix, like even though there's not a lot going on like in like that section off the track. It's like it is quite strange, but it sounds like too quiet compared with like the rest off the song. So yeah, like a little bit like wish that like they maybe like had like mixed the track like a little bit better, but it is still a great song though, and like that's what I'm like scoring this on. So yeah, a 10 out of 10 for me. And then side one closes with Wasteland, which I'm giving like an 8 out of 10 to. Overlooked song, I'd say, from this album. Really like it isn't maybe one of like the most memorable songs, but it is quite interesting. It has like a recorder in it, like in like sort of like the instrument, like the recorder, quite like unconventional sound like for the Jam, but it does move along, and like I do think that like like the bridge part to this song is like really good, really builds up the track quite well. So yeah, Wasteland, an 8 out of 10. Opening up side 2, we have a track called Burning Sky, which I'm giving a 7 out of 10 to. I think this is overall a good song. If like again like a slightly uninspired musical arrangement, kind of similar like to Private Hell, like anything like that they aren't really pushing themselves musically, and like, but it is the lyrics what are the standout part of this song, sort of like like they're written in like the form of like a letter to like an old friend. So like again, this one goes back to like the original concept. However, I would say I prefer like the original demo version, which you actually put on this very best of CD. You get Burning Sky, but as like an early acoustic demo, which I think really works. If like they'd done like the album version in like the same way as this, could certainly give this song like an 8 out of 10, just for like the slightly different musical like arrangement to it. Whereas like as it is a little bit there's nothing new like to the table like with like the like music to this one, but the lyrics are good. So yeah, 7 out of 10 for me personally. Good morning, Smithers Jones. How's the white man? Then we get song Smithers Jones, which is a Bruce Foxton number, and I think is like universally recognised as like his finest moment like as a songwriter. I think it is a terrific song. I said reworked as well there, because like this was originally put on the B-side to the song When You're Young, which was released like a couple of months before the album, like a non-album single. That great song that though. But yeah, this was like the B-side, and like for this one here, like they decided decided that to completely strip it back to just the vocals and like put on like a I think it's like a string quartet or something, kind of like Eleanor Rigby-esque. Like I think it really works actually, very sort of sparse arrangement, and like definitely is like a change like to like the Jam sort of like typical sound. Definitely gives the album like a much needed like variety. Yeah, like I'd say that I probably do prefer the album version, like the version like on here, like like of the song to the single, just because it is like slightly different, slightly quirky like for the Jam. Like they haven't done like a song what sounds like this like before or since this album. So yeah, really good song actually. And then we get the song Saturday's Kids, which I think is really underrated. One of my absolute favourites from the album. I love the great opening like guitar riff, really draws you in like to the song. Great track. And like it's sort of like the lyrics as well are like really fantastic on this song, sort of about like the lives of like ordinary people, and that like the opening line I think is, if I just get here, Saturday's kids live life with insults, drink lots of beer and wait for halftime results. So yeah, like just great lyrics I think, like all like throughout as well, like Saturday's girls work at Tesco's and Woolworths, wear cheap perfume because it's all they can afford. So yeah, sort of like great lyrics about like working class people and that, sort of like Ray Davies, sort of like well as like the son of him, like in terms of like songwriting and that. So yeah, like really works, like definitely like a 70s version of the Kinks, like very very like observational like writing style, and like a really underrated Jam song for me. So yeah, a 10 out of 10 for Saturday's Kids. Second to last song is the single from the album, the Eton Rifles, which I'm giving a 9 out of 10 to. This is a classic Jam song. This was like very much like their breakthrough single, like in like many ways. I mean, like being like a popular band before this, but this was like their first top 10 single, and like I believe like all like subsequent singles what like they released like all reached the UK top 10. Lyrics on this one are like about like the UK class system. Weller like apparently read like a newspaper article about like a right to work march passing through like the Eton College, like in like I think it's sort of like Slough and that. Like it does mention Slough in like the lyrics and that. So yeah, and like these like schoolboys and that were like jeering at like the protesters and that. So yeah, like it is like an interesting lyric song, and like definitely like a like really fantastic single for them. Reached number 3 in the UK charts. However, for me, you might be wondering why it's not a 10. It is because I'm not a massive fan of like the ending to this song. It sort of ends with like these frenzied guitars, lots of feedback and that. It isn't really like my favourite bit like off like the song. It doesn't really do too much for me, the ending to this track. So like that's why like I kind of had to drop it a mark, but it is very close to a 10 for me. But then we close the album with the song Heatwave, which I'm giving a 7 out of 10 to. Now, a lot of people really don't like this song, and like Weller, like has like said himself that like it doesn't really belong on the album. Like he called the song the album's Yellow Submarine, in like the sense that like that song like doesn't really belong in Revolver. But I really like this song actually. Like it is like a cover of like the Martha Reeves and the Vandellas song, also done by The Who on their album A Quick One, and this Jam version is like very much like a carbon copy of like The Who's version. But yeah, like I do get why this song is on this album. Like it was sort of like, yeah, like we'll just chuck on like a cover song, like just like end the album really. Like it does close well, but sort of like the Eton Rifles would have been like a better closing track for me personally. Right, so overall this album scores 85%, and I think this is a really terrific album. For like a long time this was my absolute favourite Jam album, although now I have sort of come around to like all mod cons like a little bit more. Like I still I do think that one is just slightly stronger, but this is still a fantastic album though. I must say I do love like the very tough sound what like the producer, forget his name, it's Vic Coppersmith Haven, I think that's how you say it. Like he gave this album like a very tough sound, although it is kind of like maybe overused throughout the album. Like so, like in songs like Private Hell and Burning Sky. Like, it's sort of like, this is like the sound that the Jam are like known for. Like, they're not really like pushing themselves like they do say on like the second on the next album, Sound Effects. And yeah, like, some people do say that this album is like rushed and like disjointed, and like it does kind of feel that way with like 5 songs like originally from like his like original concept for the album, and then 2 more like rush written like in like the studio. There's like Girl on the Phone and Private Hell, 1 like reworked versions, Smithers Jones, like a cover song, Heatwave, and like the latest single, the Eton Rifles, sort of make up the album. So it isn't really like a cohesive piece of work, like I'll say, but it is like a good mix. Like, you do get some classic songs in here, so yeah, a really enjoyable listen. So that's me come to the end of this video. I hope you have enjoyed. As always, I'd like to know what you think of this album down below in the comments, and I will see you all next time for the next review. Goodbye.